let's talk about NPR. Apparently, they are leaving Twitter. Now, the reason that they're leaving Twitter, and the reason that I'm bringing this up to you, because I know some of you don't even have Twitter, you want nothing to do with it, but this actually brings up a lot of important questions and exposes a lot of what's been going on in the mainstream media for who knows how long. So they announced that they're leaving Twitter because they're being falsely labeled as state-affiliated media. Now, this has been Elon Musk. I can show you right here, actually. They're government-funded media. That's what they've been labeled as of right now. And this is why they're deciding that they need to leave Twitter. But here's the thing, and this is their own article. This is from NPR. This is not just some random person writing this. This is their own article. They say that, let me just read this to you guys. Twitter then revised its label of NPR's account to government-funded media. The news organization, it's so funny they're talking about themselves in the third person, says that it's inaccurate and misleading, given that NPR is a private, non-profit company with editorial independence. It receives less than 1% of its $300 million annual budget, from federally funded corporation for public broadcasting. Let me read the rest here. By going silent on Twitter, NPR's chief executive says the network is protecting its credibility and its ability to produce journalism without a shadow of negativity. The downside, whatever the downside, doesn't change the fact that NPR CEO John Langsing said in an interview, "I would never have our content go anywhere that would risk our credibility." Now, here's the thing. We've already learned this. If you've seen my videos when it comes to James O'Keefe, key thing that pops out to me right now is that they are a private, non-profit company with editorial independence. Now, also, Project Veritas was also that type of company. And they actually got ousted. Now, James O'Keefe got ousted. Why did that happen? Because when you're a nonprofit, you have donors who do not have to disclose who they are. Nobody has to know who they are. They could be anybody. And on top of that, if we go back here, when we're talking about receiving, now that's less than 1%. Let's just say it's 1%, right? Because it's probably closer to 1% than it is to zero. That's $3 million a year that they receive from the federal government. Now, here's the problem, is that as long as they're receiving any money from the federal government, now that doesn't give the federal government control over the organization, not at all, but it gives them the ability to have conversations with NPR, right? Like, put it this way. If I'm paying 5% of your rent every month, your rent's $2,000, I'm paying I'm paying just, 5%. That's it. I just give you 5% of your rent every single month. Now, I don't control what you do inside your house. I don't control your lawn or anything. But if I approach you with a suggestion about something, you are going to be, at the very least, open to hearing what I have to say. And that's what the NPR has with the federal government. So the federal government could easily just come to them and just say, hey, just so you know, just a suggestion. We're not telling you to do anything, but there's going to be a story about a laptop and a certain government official's son is involved. And we just want you guys to know that we've already looked into it. It's misinformation. So not telling you what to do, but we're just telling you that this is going to come down the pipeline. Everybody's going to be talking about it. And just so you know, it's misinformation. And you guys don't want to be the type of company that talk about misinformation, right? And NPR is going to be like, of course. Wow. And then all of a sudden, when the story actually comes out and everybody's scrambling to figure out what's going on, well, NPR is going to look at it and just go, well, that's just misinformation. We were already told. We have friends in the federal government. They've already advised us that this is misinformation. So we don't even need to cover it because we don't want to be that type of company that puts out misinformation. It's some Russian hack, they said. It's nothing. Let's not even focus on that. That's the type of situations that could come up and probably have been coming up within the company for years. $3 million a year. It doesn't get you control, but it gets you their ear. So I think that's a really big problem. And now they're leaving Twitter because they don't want to risk their credibility. Well, I think it's just because they got called out. They got put to the fire. It's been shown that they are actually government funded, and they've even admitted it themselves. Now, this label that you're seeing right now, it doesn't say completely government funded, but there is government funds that go into this company. And that's something that we need to know. Because before that, I know me, I don't know about you if you're into NPR at all, but when you see this, always free and independent, always on npr.org, well, you think they're completely free and independent. When I hear independent, I think someone like me, right? I don't receive money from anybody, So it's a very telling situation. They also did this, when I say they, I mean Twitter, Elon Musk, they also did this with the BBC. Now, they have a different label. It's publicly funded media. That's a little different. Twitter actually outlines what this all means. So if we go to publicly funded media, accounts are defined as publicly funded media refers to media organizations that receive funding from license fees, individual contributions, public financing, and commercial financing. Okay, so that's what the BBC is. Government funded. Let's go here. This is what NPR is labeled as. This goes as government funded media is defined as outlets where the government provides some or all of the outlet's funding and may have varying degrees of government involvement over editorial content. This is exactly what is going on at NPR. Now, I don't know about the control, but again, they are receiving some kind of money. Now, when we go over to the BBC and what they have going on, this is actually the government website, gov.uk. This is legit their website. And they received 20 million euros from the government. Now, when you read this over, the government awarded the BBC World Service to support language services in English language broadcasting. So it's for a purpose, but in my mind, that doesn't matter. That's still 20 million euros that they receive from the government. And again, once you have this relationship of, I've taken money from you, I'm now willing to take suggestion from you as well. Why? Because I want that relationship to continue. Now, in this article, I'll be completely transparent. It says that it was a one-time payment, right? But again, to keep that relationship going, I'm going to want to keep us good. So if you come to me with suggestions or things that you may not want to see, I'm going to be very inclined to do your bidding, especially when it comes to $20 million, $3 million, $1 million. If you're an independent outlet and somebody comes to you with $1 million, you're going to be swayed. You just are. And now I have to go back to that article again to just end it off on this one thing. Project Veritas, they are a private nonprofit company. And James O'Keefe got ousted from that company because the people who were donors, who do not have to disclose themselves, had a problem with a story that he covered. And what they wanted was for him to be removed as the CEO. They wanted him out of the company, and they got what they wanted. And if that can happen at Project Veritas, a company that was prided on their investigative journalism abilities, prided on covering any and all stories that needed to be covered, then that can surely happen at NPR as well. So I just wanted to talk about that because I found it really interesting. And I think what Elon Musk is doing, again, love him or hate him, that's something that needs to be done, because the only reason that I looked into this just now and figured all this out is because he put that on their account. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. I would have just thought they're a company that just makes news and they just get money from advertising and they just make profit and that's what they use to run their company. But that's not so. The government has involvement, and that's never a good thing when it comes to the news. I'm out.